You're listening to Finding the Truth with Myke Hideous. Did you know, actually, let me rephrase that. Do you know which animal on planet Earth, as opposed to another planet, holds the largest heart within its rib cage? Or I should say chest cavity. If you had to pick, which animal would you say has the largest heart? And don't look this up online, buddy, because I'm
No. Hey, my fingers are not on my keyboard.
Good, okay. I didn't want you to cheat.
So, no, I think
Come on,
I
this
can
is
take
easy.
a stab at this. I could take a stab at this. I think it might be like the blue whale, or at least one
Very
of the
good.
large
Very
whale
good.
species.
The blue whale, which,
There
by
you
the
go.
way, is the largest living creature on our planet, holds the recorded record of having the largest functioning heart of any beast on Earth, weighing in at 440 pounds.
That's a big heart.
That's a big heart. Now, so it's so large, right? Actually, I wanted to say, where am I? So mind you, at 440 pounds, that is a dried, dehydrated heart. Now, if it's in the body of the whale, obviously there's going to be blood flowing through it, and it's going to be, it's going to be hydrated. So blood and water within the organ itself, which would make it weigh, in my guess, probably another 100 pounds, if not more, maybe 200 more pounds. So there you go. And then it says it's so large. How large is it? It's so large, a normal sized man of average weight and average height could slip into the to one of the arteries, the artery tubes, which I believe is a ventricle. I'm not sure what the technical term is.
Sure.
And so yeah, that's how big. Like, so in other words, if you're like 6.5 feet tall and you stood next to a blue whale's heart, it would still be taller than you by about 3 feet.
Damn.
Right?
That's a big heart. So my only thought is in describing that is like, okay, how many gallons per beat do you get with a heart that size?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, it's literally got to be like, what, an Olympic swimming pool every beat? I mean,
yeah, probably. I mean, think about it. This is the largest creature we have on Earth. And if I'm correct, I believe they're about 100 feet long, maybe even longer. But then after that, I think the gray whale is next, and then the humpback whale after that. And I don't know what follows. But
right.
The blue whale being the biggest creature of, and now folks, also keep this in mind, these creatures used to be on land. Whales used to be on land. In fact, I believe they are closely related to hippopotamuses. Here's an interesting topic I got from morbid facts online. So, who do you think holds the record for spending the longest amount of time in space? Would you know? I thought you might know, because I know you like space stuff like I do.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly up on those things. I mean, there's been a few astronauts that have done. There was one in particular that did close to a year. I think he was just short of a year.
Do you know where he was from?
He might have been from Russia. I don't know if it was necessarily U.S.
So you're very close. You're very close, Professor. Oh, Professor. I stumbled when I said that. Sergio, I can't quite pronounce his last name. He's Russian. Krikalev. Krikaley. Krikaley.
This is where I ask Google how to say things.
Right. So he was a Soviet communist, a Soviet cosmonaut, well as a communist. And he got stuck in space during the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. Since the country that sent him into orbit, this is where it gets weird. Since the country that had sent him into orbit uh, no longer existed while he was in space, his return home was delayed. Sergei ended up
Sergey.
spending Sergey. You looked it up. There you go.
Sergey. Well, no, I just know.
Sergey.
Yeah, Sergey.
Yeah, SER
Sergey. Anyway, go ahead.
GEI. He ended up spending 803 days orbiting the Earth. That's over what 2 years?
Yeah, that's well over 2 years.
Like two and a half
Almost
years.
3 years. Yeah.
According to Einstein's theory of relativity, Sergei
Sergey.
effectively traveled 0.02 seconds forward in time.
Exactly.
That's
where I
amazing.
picked up this story, because I know I was watching something about Einstein, and they pointed this out. And it's just like, that's just too weird to think that he's actually basically the first human time traveler.
Isn't that crazy? But I mean, think of it. Almost 2.5 years in space. I mean, goodness. Not only are you spending all that time in complete solitude, and this is like solitude where there's nothing, no birds, no other people down the hall talking. This is you in space. Nobody's around, nothing else to do except what you can do in a space, maybe, I don't know. I don't know, maybe as big as this little area that I'm talking to you in. So I don't know, 15 by 15.
Oh yeah, it's very small.
I mean,
But on the
the,
upside, when he got back, he was already an inch and a half taller than he used to be.
is that true? Is that true?
Well, it most likely was true. That is one of the things that prolonged space travel does make your spine stretch out. So you actually
Right.
do come back a little taller.
Because there's no pressure on the spinal column to
Yeah, there's
keep
no
you at the
gravity.
weight. Yeah,
Hmm.
keep you at the size that you're at due to gravity.
The other
And in
reality is
addition,
that
imagine the
you lose
bone
your.
loss too.
Well, there is that problem if you don't exercise. So I'm sure Sergey was probably exercising regularly. But the other issue, what was it? Oh, I just lost my train of thought. But it's there's something else that happens to you in prolonged space. What was
Your
it?
taste buds change. They find that more men and women, uh, tend to want food that is spicier and saltier, and they think
Hmm.
that has to do with something associated with the bone loss. Did you know in 2020, an estimated 1.5 billion masks, face masks for China virus, ended up in the oceans? That came from
And
Morbid
this is
Facts.
supposed to be a surprise.
No, just saying for the people out there who didn't know, that's where they
Well,
ended up, along with other
yeah.
plastic bags and balloons and all other kinds of shit.
Well,
Um,
I'd like to share another fact just to throw it out there for all our listeners. In the
did you
state of New
know?
Jersey, yeah, it's a did you know? Did
Did
you
you
know?
know?
In the state of New Jersey, you're not allowed to have bags when you check out from your retail stores and your grocery stores.
I
They
think
don't give
that
out
came
plastic bags.
last
Hmm?
summer. I think
No,
they
it's 2 years
enforced the
ago
law.
now.
Was it
It's two
2 years?
years
Yeah.
ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're not allowed to have plastic bags, and for whatever reason, we don't get paper bags either. So you get no bags when you go to the
No
store, and you have
bags
to
at all.
buy one of these other bags that's hanging there, costs you 75 cents or whatever. Well, they just recently finished this study, which pointed out that in New Jersey we are throwing out 3 times the amount of plastic than we were before with the other plastic bags, because people are still buying these bags at the store and just throwing them out.
Hmm.
So they contain
Now,
3 times the amount of plastic than regular plastic bags. And so New Jersey's beautiful attempt to try and get plastic out of the landfills has completely miserably failed.
of course. And on that particular topic that Professor Z was just speaking of, in the future we are going to have a little discussion about recycling, but we're not going to do it now. We're going to finish up a couple more of these did you knows, but yes, amazing. It blows my mind about the garbage, and how they try to recycle things or tell you what to do with it, and then they change their mind. Like, back in, I think it was the mid 80s when they introduced plastic bags to shopping centers. So, oh, you can't use the paper bags anymore because that's bad for trees. We're killing all these trees. So they invented all these fucking plastic bags. Okay. Cheaper, thinner, supposedly more durable. And what happens now, 30, 40 years later? They're like, oh, well, you can't use plastic bags because they pollute. They are all over our they're at the bottom of the ocean, and sea turtles and dolphins and whales are even dying from them because they get caught on them. Anyhow, so yeah, uh, I've never been a fan of plastic bags. I don't like plastic in general. I think everything should go back to glass. But what do I know? I'm just a fucking lead singer
You
from
want
a
us to
band.
have glass bags? That sounds
Absolutely
cool.
not glass bags. You know what I mean? Instead of having plastic, make them out of bottles. And if you want to make them last, put rubber around them or material around them to keep them so that if they fall, they don't break. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Did you know in 2009, Pepsi, the soda manufacturer conglomerate,
I don't
was
know of
su-
another Pepsi.
was sued by a man who said he was traumatized after finding a mouse in his Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew is distributed by Pepsi. So he found a mouse in his Mountain Dew can. However, when the attorneys of Pepsi uh, went to court with him, they said his claim about the mouse being in his his Mountain Dew, was completely wrong and a lie. And it was a lie because they said it was impossible due to the fact that their product would and could completely dissolve a mouse within 30 days. Pepsi, upon, sorry, uh, Pepsi won the case when they had proven
They took a
that
mouse and they
Mountain
stuck
Dew,
it in a glass.
when they had proven that the Mountain Dew can was purchased 74 days after it was manufactured in the Pepsi soda factory. So, in other words, the guy bought the can 74 days after it was produced, after they made the soda, put it in the can, sold it, or, shipped
Yep,
it to
we get it.
wherever and sold it. So their claim about 30 days dissolving anything, particularly biological creatures,
Right.
in this case, a mouse. So, I mean, it really makes you think.
Do you want to drink this?
It really makes you think, though. I mean, living, non living things can be dissolved in soda, and people drink this all the time. I stopped drinking soda in 1995. I went from
Good for
drinking
you.
all types of soda. I went and I narrowed it down to like 7 Up or Pepsi. I'm sorry, 7 Up or Sprite, because I only liked Uncola. And then, like, within I don't know, 2 years, I was completely done with soda. I will admit, since I moved to Pennsylvania, I found a store that was selling, I think it's Stewart's Birch Beer. Now, if you like soda, if you've ever had Birch Beer, oh, it's so good. I love it. And Stewart's makes the best Birch Beer, and as well as root beer and cherry cola. They make it real, like, different than like Coke and Pepsi because they use more sugar product, whereas Stewart's uses more of like they use sugar, but they also use more of a natural flavors. Like birch beer is from a birch tree, as well as root beer being from uh, root
Roots.
tree. I don't know, roots.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I'll have to check it
Any
out.
Yeah, but when I
So
found that out here, I was they sell them in 4 packs, and I'll tell you, I was hooked on it. I love that stuff. It is so good. And while all my friends were drinking beers, I'd pull out the Stewart's Birch beer and drink that. And they were like, "What are you drinking?" I'm like,
there you go.
"Birch beer." What do you find more despicable? The fact that the mouse uh, uh, eh, was in basically dissolved in like a battery acid, or the fact that they're selling this product to you. What's more disgusting?
I got this realization early on in my life, and even so, I drank Coke, up until my mid 20s, if not early 30s. But back in sixth grade, there was a experiment that we decided to do, and the teacher was going to show us how destructive Coke was. And so one of the kids in the class lost their tooth, and we
Oh,
put
the
it in a
tooth
glass of
thing.
Coke,
Yeah,
and the tooth didn't last 1 week. It was
1 week.
gone
Yeah,
in 1 week.
that's
So, I mean,
amazing.
knowing that moving forward in my life, their story about, yes, a mouse would not survive, it wouldn't be there'd be nothing left of it after
No,
74 days inside
it's
of a
bad.
can of
Basically,
soda.
battery acid. I
Well,
I
there
had a
is
friend.
acid. Carbonic acid is part of making
There you
soda.
go.
And so,
I I,
there
I
is an
had a
acidic
friend.
quality.
I had a friend that I used to hang out with back when I was about 18, 17 years old. Big guy, really big guy, like 6 foot something, just big, like 200 something pounds at age 17, 18. He was the same age as I was. So he used to drink, he'd buy one of those, what is it, 2 liter bottle or 2 liter bottles of Coke, the big ones.
Oh, yeah.
He'd buy one of them and he would just drink the whole thing all day.
Yeah.
Years went by and he ended up having to get a colostomy bag. And for those of you who don't know what a colostomy bag is, it's when they cut a hole in your stomach and then cut your one of your intestines open and lead the intestine into a bag outside of your body for which you are to defecate in and release your bodily waste. So this guy drank so much Coke that he burned a hole. I don't remember if they said it was in his stomach. I'm assuming it was in his um, one of his intestines because they ended up giving a colostomy bag. And he
Right.
had it for a couple of years, or I'm sorry, he had it for about a year or so until they were able to fix the hole in his intestines. But I mean, God
Oh,
damn,
that yeah, that's a serious sign that
like
soda's no good
serious.
for you. But
No,
thank you for that description. Thank you for that description, Mike. I may have to censor that part of the show. That may not be, for everybody in the audience to
oh
know
really?
what
You
a
think?
colostomy bag. Well, that you got a little vivid there. So we're
Did
not
I?
that much of a science and biology show, but I'm just
I
saying.
thought I was being
And
very basic. I didn't think I was.
and
I didn't
and
think I
I'm
was
trying to
being
be
too.
humorous, my friend. So in either
Okay.
case.
Okay. Sorry.
So, not to
Okay.
mention,
I
I
have
thought it
one
might be
last
a fun
one.
segment to have you just talking and have you bleep every other word, and they wouldn't have any idea what you're saying, but it sounded like you'd be cussing. So,
So did you
okay.
know? Did you
Yes, I did.
know? A woman in the blue state of New York was arrested for attempting to kick out squatters who had taken over her $1 million home, that in which she was in the process of selling. So she wasn't living there, it was vacant and for sale. Um, and in doing so, while she was with a news camera to show how there were people constantly squatting in her house, uh, the camera crew's following her around, and the cops show up. So one of the squatters calls the police, and the owner of the home was arrested for allegedly trespassing in her own home and property. Now, whose fault is that? Okay, who do you think's fault is that? The
The city
squatters,
of New York.
police, the homeowner, New York State, and the absolutely
Yeah, it's the
retarded and
laws. It's
upside down laws that they have.
Yeah,
How does
because the
any of this
laws.
make sense? Because if you really think about it, this person should have had all the rights to stay at her house. So, how can the owner of one's own property, in this case, one house worth $1 million, be arrested for making a non-violent attempt and a reasonable attempt to remove individuals from that property who are not paying rent nor legally living there with uh, what do you call the document when you're living a rent
Lease.
or a lease? Thank you. Um, how could she be arrested? Is beyond me. And they
Well,
they
it's not necessarily
basically
beyond me. I mean, because
yeah.
honestly, the more you know about how New York functions, the more you know that the squatters have rights, and that's how screwed up the city government has gotten. Is the fact that
Yep.
you know they're allowing this to occur, and they don't care about landowners, and they certainly
Yep.
don't care about businesses,
Nope.
and
As
so
long as you
they're
pay
literally,
taxes.
and they're not going to anymore because people are leaving that city and leaving that
That's right.
state.
In droves, people.
Yep, and it's for
Like
stuff like that.
10,000 people,
when
10,000
when
people a week are leaving places like New York, New Jersey, and California.
and when people see stories like that, what you just described, they're not going to hang around. They're
Nope.
going to throw up a for sale sign and they're going to hit the road.
Yep. So the question is, people, ladies and gentlemen, since when did American citizens, become the outcasts and illegal aliens, criminals, drug pushers, prostitutes, drug dealers, and even like the foreign enemy of our country? Have become the good guys, and the tax paying, law abiding, decent American citizen is the bad guy. I don't get it. All right, folks. Thank you very much for listening to episode number 13 of Finding the Truth with Myke Hideous. Uh, Many thanks to my producer and engineer and co host, Professor Z, for doing all the hard work that he does. Could not do this show without him. So many thanks to him. And that's pretty much it. So I want to say thank you for everyone who tuned in to tonight's or this episode per se. And I look forward to doing our next show for you. If you can, please like our show, subscribe to it, and share it with your friends and or enemies. Also, write to us. Let us know what you think of the show, whether you like it or hate it, what you'd like to hear more of, what you'd like to hear less of. We'd be very interested in that. On that note, Professor Z, would you like to say anything?
Have a good evening, everyone. We'll see you on our next episode on the other side of the eclipse.
There you go. All right, folks. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget, check out MykeHideous.com for all types of merchandise, as well as my book, King of an Empire to the Shoes of a Misfit, only available at MykeHideous.com. Thank you, folks. Have a good night. Stay safe. F you, Biden.